أنا بلشت من حالي. Okay. I represented myself as a few layers of very basic things, like my identity, my work, my family, my friends, and had no color because I had no affiliation. And at the time, I had made this decision as to not show any preference whatsoever about anything. I was studying architecture and had no preferred architect, for example. And I stayed like that for a whole while. So when things started, I remember that I was going out with a friend and my mother would call and she was worried about road closures and stuff like that. ما أخذتها جدية, since it never reached Jounieh and since we lived there. So as I was taking my friend home, we actually discovered that the roads were actually closed near C Street. And this is where I took my first picture of the Thawra from the side of the road, which I saw was interesting. I go back home, everything was closed, everyone was on the road. I got excited. I started reading what's happening, what people are saying, and I got so excited that the next day I went and bought my first Lebanese flag since I was 27 and did not own a Lebanese flag. I bought the Lebanese flag and then I went to my first protest. And this is where it became something regular. It started off in Zoo with the others, and then started going to other places, Jal Dib a few times. I went to a sit-in in Sharbel because the protesters in Sharbel were saying that they felt they had lots of public space that was taken by restaurants and cafes, and they wanted to reclaim those spaces. So we went there, we sat down and started playing board games. This intervention came to become right now Karakib Karajib, which is organizing many cultural events in Jbel. I participated with my university USG in downtown and attended many talks at the Egg and other public spaces. At the same time, I was being active on social media, which I normally wasn't from a political point of view. Which caused problems with some members of my family who were still very politically affiliated to the ruling parties of Lebanon, which eventually led me, and I insisted on putting it, to blocking them on social media, which I still maintained until today. And at the same time, I was documenting everything that I was doing at the same time. Then this is where I felt like there's really hope of change. We are reaching something. Like I thought this is like, it was an incubation period and this is it. We're ready to hatch, we're ready to do something. And then many things started happening at once. The army started having small checkpoints in these areas. Then we saw many political parties joining us on the streets and shouting with insulting slogans, which we did not adopt. Then there was this story that the whole thing was funded by many embassies from the outside, and then just simply started raining. And so the accumulation of everything just led to people not showing up anymore, and there was lesser and lesser people by the day, to the extent that the army actually managed to open the roads. Now, if you look at it, I was going from down up, and then it goes to the side. For me, it was a layer by layer, step by step, a ladder in which we would go up. Now, this accumulation of events led to things actually going to a different direction, not the direction that we had hoped for. The one we had hoped for was here, a country in which we prioritize our culture, our identity, our, in French we say patrimoine, I forgot the word, our heritage, this is it, in which we have an open mind towards everything new, in which we embrace technology and all the contemporary interventions that are happening while maintaining our identity. So, not to be cliche or poetic, but yes, to maintain our image, which is the cedar. But that did not happen, which led to many dreams falling apart and going on all directions instead of just going straight up, together, parallel. So when all these events happened, roads started closing off and then opening again, closing off, then we think we go to work and then not, and then things just went to normal. After that, it's just me again, but this time there are some colors. I started adopting points of view. This is what changed for me after the protests of 2019. Thank you.